all know fear is a great teacher. It begins in early childhood as our parents use fear of harm to keep us from attempting things that are unsafe. It tends to elude us in our adolescent and young adult years when the desire to spread our wings overrides the fear of flying too close to the sun. But once the burdens and responsibilities of maturity creep into our existence, that fear comes back with a vengeance. We have more to lose, more that could go wrong, less control over situations, and less insulation against consequences. Fear is a great teacher, but it is also fraught with limiting, overreactive, false narratives. Often we learn the fundamentals of what fear has to teach us: to be aware of our surroundings, to ask questions and seek truthful answers, to evaluate for potential dangers, and to educate and inform ourselves about safety precautions. We do not need to live in a state of anxiety and anticipatory pain and suffering. That might seem like an exaggeration of our response to things that seem intimidating, but how many things have you considered trying only to back down because a wave of panic makes you back down? I don't mean the kind of fear that comes from the idea of bungee jumping when the equipment looks poorly maintained, or going into a dark alley alone in an unfamiliar neighborhood. Those are the kinds of scenarios where discernment is key. That's when the evaluation for potential dangers and education about safety precautions should still be in play. I'm talking about the fear that swims up from your gut into your throat when you're faced with public speaking, or sharing a song you wrote with someone you don't know that well. That kind of fear is debilitating rather than protective, and we all let it stifle our desire to express ourselves and expand our experiences in life. It would be easy for me to quote to you the slogan, "Feel the fear and do it anyway." But I want you to keep reading and not write me off as a preacher of platitudes or, worse, a merchant of mendacity. I know that is so much easier said than done. I've nearly given myself an aneurysm rolling my eyes when it was said to me. But that doesn't mean there isn't a kernel of truth to the concept. While you may not be able to thumb your nose at your fear right away, it is the kind of thing that can be conquered incrementally. Like the old saying goes, how does one eat a mountain? Or an elephant or other large object, however you've heard it. One bite at a time. Diving off the high dive when you're still wearing water wings is hardly the way to have a sustainable approach to tackling fear. I recognize we may not always have the option, but for the types of challenges we're talking about here, it's unusual that you'd have to make a split-second decision. The kinds of adventures, new experiences, and creative output we're working with are things that have likely been nagging you throughout your life in varying degrees of intensity. So dipping your toe in the water and slowly wading in deeper is not only a possibility, it's your best course. Start small and build your courage. If you have always wanted to be a musician, it's unrealistic to think you can just go out on a stage in front of thousands and perform without fear. There are seasoned artists who still get butterflies before a performance. But you can begin by playing for family or friends. Maybe find an open mic night at a local coffee house. See how that goes. Try it for a while until you reach a comfort level with putting yourself out there. Then you can stretch beyond that enough to reach the next pain point and test that for a period. That's incremental expansion. The bottom line, you have to learn how to discern between fear that is instructive and fear that is intrusive. When you are afraid of something, it is important to let it teach you how to navigate or avoid what is before you. Then you can retreat if appropriate or proceed with caution and knowledge. That's the healthy way to feel the fear and maybe do it anyway.